Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today we have set number 70642. This is Killow versus Samurai X, and the box for this is actually really large. I think it's a $60 box size, but the set does retail for $49.99 in the United States. Contains 556 pieces and 3 minifigures. Well, 2 minifigures and a big fig. Of the two builds, I was far more excited for the Samurai Mech, but Killow's bike here is actually really well done, I think. Way better than I was expecting. The actual design of this motorcycle is really massive, actually. Like, compared to a standard minifigure, it's like gigantic. There's no way a regular minifigure could drive this, but I think that's okay. It's designed to be a bike driven by a big fig. And as a bike driven by a big fig, this works pretty well. It's, it does move relatively well. The front wheel is a saw piece. It's a hard plastic, so it doesn't get a ton of traction. So it doesn't always drive. You'll see it skips every so often. But on a softer surface, it works really well. And on a hard surface, you can get it to work. The whole bike does have a really thick tire, but you can still get it to bank side to side, which I think is a good and important thing for bikes to be able to do. So, that's another good feature. But the actual color scheme of this, I think, is great as well. I like the purples throughout here with a little bit of reds, and I love these stickers here on this front section, these panels. They have got the purple, the blue, the red, and just that kind of dragony looking face. Again, the stickers here are good. I like that there's not too much blue, but the blue that is here looks really good. Killow just stands, on the on these blue pieces, basically. He'll cover up all the blue. And you basically just position these, like the paint handles. Those are the controls for the motorcycle. You basically just position them inside his hands. Those can be moved up and down, the control sticks, so, he could push it forward. But there's really only one position where they'll fit perfectly into his hands. And you can't vary that too much. Like, you can move it down a little or up a little, but it doesn't have a ton of motion. I think it works well, though. It looks good when it's in his hands. Usually you can't get super realistic motorcycle handlebar positions, because that's not how minifigures work, but in this case you can, because he's big fig. With him removed, the bike still looks pretty respectable, I think, but this area seems kind of empty just because there's no one there to riding it. This here, I can't tell if it's supposed to be a seat back or just kind of a mud flap of sorts. I think it's supposed to be kind of like a seat back, and you can angle it however you'd like. And back here, we've got a little bit of a play feature, and this does work while Killow is standing there. He doesn't get in the way of it. You can pull these blades and move them all the way around to the front if you wanted to. Basically, it's kind of like a attack motion. If you just hit this right here, it'll swipe all the way back. So say you've got a ninja right here, and you just go like that, and you'll hit him out of the way, basically. I think that's cool. It works. Again, the massive tire on the back is nice, but it looks a little bit weird when those aren't there. It looks a little bit bare in this section. So, I don't know. I prefer these blades in the backwards position, but the fact that they have that feature is cool. And on the side, he's got these skateboards, which we'll take a look at in a second because they have an important feature. But the last thing that this thing can really do is, if you pull this up, you'll see, and pull that flat forward, you'll see there's a place that he can store his little club. This is his weapon when he's not on his bike. And I love how this folds up. It works really well. And, just fills in the space perfectly. And it's super hidden. You wouldn't know it folds open unless you were told, honestly. Or if you built it, I guess you'd probably figure it out. But like, it looks like it's just supposed to be there. It's a super duper hidden play feature. I'm really impressed by it, to be honest. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is for the bike, aside from removing these. And with that, we'll show you what Killow looks like up close. Alright, here's Killow. He actually has this little bit of a side build here on the back. It's a jetpack sort of thing. And you can remove it. It's attached by these 3 technicals that are molded into his back, which is interesting. Speaking of the molding, they actually created a brand new design for the body of this character, obviously including that, and you've got the little bit of space between his shirt and his pants, so his pants aren't pulled up all the way, I guess, maybe. And he's got these weird little skin-colored knee pads. They're the same color as his skin, which I find a little weird, but getting the skull design in there is cool. And there's good molding around his boots. I think they did a great job with the mold of this guy. Recently, with superheroes, they've been kind of getting the same kind of generic, smooth body that's just printed on. But this, you've got the molded in texture of the jacket, which has amazing printing on there while we're looking at it. I like how he's got the orange, and the other characters, when they have like their Sons of Garmadon jackets, like Mr. E has got the detailing done in red. I don't know, I just like that. I would assume it says Killow on his stomach underneath the vest, which is a little weird, but I'm not going to judge. And then he's got this really amazing arm printing. Unfortunately, it's only on one arm, but it looks great. And his head here is actually a standard minifigure head, which is interesting. It has no alternate facial expression, but you just attach a regular helmet onto it, and that's how you get your Oni Mask of Vengeance, I think this one is. I should probably have looked that up. But he also gets the really long horns on this one, which look a little bit out of proportion with the other two. However, when it's on a big fig, it looks perfectly fine. And his weapon that you saw stowed away inside his vehicle is this club. It's a club. It doesn't appear in the show, but it's good to give him a weapon, and it definitely works with his size. But back to the little jetpack build. You just stick that right on, like that. I would assume this is a rocket booster, so you can go forward really fast. He has these stud shooters on there, which are on a ball joint, so you can angle them all around. You can shoot backwards, you can shoot up, you can shoot to the side a little. It doesn't have the best side-to-side range because of the way it's attached, but it's not bad, and it works well. The one thing I find a little weird is that in the instructions they tell you to make sure that this face, to make the little flag face this way, but his camera-friendly side is definitely over here where you just got the arm. You could very easily fix that, though, by just taking this and swapping it. Basically, if you're putting these on a display, the same issue appears kind of in the Sons of Garmadon or Street Race of Snake Jaguar set, but if you're putting them on display, you can just switch the flag from side to side. This can only move up and down. It can't move. It can't really rotate. I mean, it can rotate that way, but you can't, angle the whole thing side to side, bend it that way. You can't do that. But, for what it is, the jetpack is good, and it gives Killow a little bit of extra play value. You can also attach these skateboards to his feet, and this is what it's really for. It's a rocket booster that allows you to go really fast on the skateboards, or skateboard roller skates, whatever they are. The clutch power isn't super great because if you notice the skateboards have a little bit of a curve, and his feet, I think, are a tiny bit longer than the flat part. So, they come off easily, but, I guess they don't get stuck. And they work well enough as long as you're not, doing random tricks in the air. If you're doing that, they'll probably fall off, but for a static display, it works perfectly fine. You'll notice, though, it did just pop off again. I don't know. I mean, it's not awful, and you could always use the skateboards for other Sons of Garmadon members if you want to have a skateboard gang instead of a biker gang. But, I'm a fan of the way the Killow Big Fig turned out. And then the final part of the set is the Samurai X Mech, which, is also impressive, actually. I was expecting to like this better than the Killow bike, which I think I still do. But this was way more impressive than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be worse than the Samurai Mech from 2012, which I still think it is, mainly because of just the design it was going for. But this is really, really, really nicely done. The leg articulation can go up and down. You can kind of get it kneeling almost. you have to turn the feet backward, or the feet sideways, because of the way that those ball joints are. But I guess you could also probably pull it off on the toes, right? Yeah, you could do that. That works. You can, get obviously a standard fighting stance. You could be leaning into, I don't know, leaning into a pose. You could kind of, let's see, you kind of spread the feet out a little. Just kind of get like a fighting stance. And this is probably the most normal stance though, right here, like that. And it works pretty well. It's posable. I think the feet have good posability, and I like that you get pretty dynamic poses by having the knees at a 90-degree angle. I think that works pretty well. I do wish that maybe you could get it standing at like this height, but in order to do that, you have to turn the feet sideways a little, just because of how how the lower ball joints work. It's a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. And there. But right in the center, you've got a sticker here, which carries through this color scheme a little, the red and white. This sticker here is good as well as the stickers here, here, and here. The stickers, I think, add a lot to the just visually pleasing element of the set, which worked pretty well, actually. I was very impressed with the way that this thing looks on display. And I like these Nexo Knights shoulder armor pieces. I think that those are very visually striking, and I don't know. I think that those are one of the more impressive parts visually of the set. The arms have worse articulation than the legs, I think. Yes, they can turn here and here, and this one is not supposed to have like a hand. You're not supposed to really be able to do stuff with it. It's just to shoot. But I feel like the arms are shorter than I'd want them to be, because you can't really reach across the body at all because the arms aren't even long enough to do that. So that's a little bit disappointing to me. I think that's the weakest part of this mech. But the fingers on this hand are good, and you do have some real shooters here. Stud shooter just shoots off studs, and there's 2 of those on this arm, obviously. And, that is what it is. You can also pull this down. This is how you put a figure inside. Just stands on those 2 studs there. And, you just fold that up. It all comes together really nicely. And also there's a sticker here, and the same sticker on the other side. So, just one last thing to point out. And I think it's supposed to go up further. Oh, I moved your hands, I think. Yeah, there we go. And it's a good design, I think. I like the way that this came out. And last but not least, you can take this on the back, this big weapon thing. Also, these 2 swords can be removed to use with the Samurai X figure if you leave the mech behind somewhere. You can just take some swords and fight. This is a little bit of a weird weapon, I guess not even just a little bit. It's a really weird weapon. You got a sword pointing up and a sword pointing down. I don't know. It's a little bit strange. Kind of reminds me of the crossbow from the salvage mech, but again, at the same time, not really. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but you can put it in the hand. I think it looks way more impressive behind the cockpit of the mech. But it's cool to have the ability to put some sort of blade in the hand. I just wish you could split it in 2 and use just one of these blades. But anyway, that's it for the mech. I think it's a cool looking thing. It's got some cool play value. Obviously, mechs are fun. Also, you can just spin that if you wanted to. I don't know what advantage that gives you, but possible. But yeah, this is a really good mech. We already took a look at Killow, who is exclusive to this set, and at the time, both of these figures were exclusive as well. But since then, Samurai X has been re-released in the Throne Room Showdown set, which is $20, so this is no longer even the cheapest way to get her. But Jay remains exclusive to this day, and probably will, unless he's released in one of those weird, overseas magazines. In the US, basically, he's exclusive. He does come with this chain weapon, which is kind of cool, and obviously Samurai X has the two katanas that are on the back of the mech that you could remove if you wanted to. I like the helmet for Samurai X with the white and gold. I don't know, it's cool. I do think that I prefer the Hands of Time version of Samurai X, or well, of this version of Samurai X, who, if you don't know who that is and don't want to be spoiled, you're about to find out once I turn the heads around. So, just click off this video right now. But I like the printing on both of these figures' torsos and legs. Samurai X has slightly more intricate printing, I think, on the torso than J, but both of them look good. I like this gold armor piece, and if we turn these figures around, see we have to remove a little bit of stuff on J in order to see his back print, but both of their alternate faces are pretty good. And the back printing on the torsos, I think, is pretty well done. I don't know, I like the red and white design of Pixel, kind of, but I definitely prefer the previous version. I don't know, this face is weird, but I like the Pixel face on the back of the head, which was not a thing in the Hands of Time version of Samurai X. J looks pretty good, though. I like the Sons of Garmadon outfits, in general. Again, with J, it appears that we have this slight... I think it's way less obvious on this one, but I think it is slightly off-centered, one of the two faces. But, both these figures are good, both good exclusives to get, and pretty good detailing throughout. Going into the build of the set, I was most excited for the figures, and, they definitely were really nice, and, met my expectations, but the builds here really were very impressive. I like the Samurai Mech a lot. The Killow bike was really good. It was way bigger than I was expecting, honestly. I was expecting it to probably be about this long, but obviously it makes sense at this scale with the big fig. I don't know, it just feels better than I was expecting it to. And the whole build just came together really nicely. I don't know, this was a big highlight of the set for me. The Samurai Mech, too, was really good. A lot of people, I think, decided that this was, or, viewed this as one of the weaker sets of the Sons of Garmadon wave, but I don't know, I think I have to disagree with that. Honestly, I've built them all now. I think the weakest are probably Sons of Garmadon Headquarters, which is still a good set. I like it. And the Katana V11 is probably one of the weaker ones, but again, it's still good. So I don't think this is the strongest one. I think this is the one that exceeded my expectations of it the most. And, overall, definitely would recommend it. At $50, it's good, but frequently the set has been discounted to $40, which at that price I think it's a great deal. At $50, I think it could have done with one more figure being included. Maybe even just throwing in a bike like this from the Katana V11, just adding that in, I think, just would have added a little more play value, because then it would give Jay something to do while Samurai X takes on Killow and his bike. But overall, I think this is a solid set. I, enjoyed building it. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.